The summer after my 7th grade in middle school, my mother decided to take me and my 3 siblings to the place where she was raised. But I'm sure the decision-making process started sometime before that summer, because the decision for a single mother to take her 3 children to Africa is one that requires a lot of planning. Plane tickets and passports and vaccinations, but to our benefit, at the time at least, my mother was quite the planner. Both of my parents were planners. In fact, my mother came to the United States when she was 16 years old, and she went by herself to the state of Wisconsin to help my uncle raise his children. And then she completed high school in a non-traditional setting and went on to Marquette University, where she met my father in the library. Because yes, my parents met in a library. I come from a long line of nerds and bookworms with corny one-liners. After meeting my mother in the library, my father used to say that he checked her out and never returned her. My parents had plans. They were going to get married and start a family, buy a house, settle down. My mother went on to medical school and became a pediatrician, and my father went on to get his PhD in economics, and he became a college professor. And they got married and they settled down, and things were going as planned until about halfway through my 3rd grade in school, my father made plans to go to the place where he was raised, because back home in Nigeria, his mother had passed away. So he got his plane ticket and his passport together and his vaccinations, and he boarded a plane. And the carefully laid out plans of my parents started to fall apart on that day, because my father boarded that plane and he never came back. He died. And my mother was left having to pick up the pieces, because she had 4 children and 4 mouths to feed, 4 brains to put through college, and giving up was not an option. And so with this level of strength and grace and resilience that I still don't totally understand, my mother picked herself up, put herself together, and went on with the plan. So fast forward now to the summer after my 7th grade. And here's my mother and her 4 children getting on a plane. And I don't remember much about the plane ride itself. I remember that it was really long and it was really loud, and I remember being totally terrified, because in my childhood mind, I believed that international travel was in some way directly connected with an untimely disaster. And I remember we were late, which is nothing abnormal for my family, but it wasn't our fault because we missed a connection, and so we were stuck in Amsterdam. And that misconnection meant that we missed the last flight from Amsterdam to Africa. And I can remember the look in my mother's face when she realized that we were stuck. And there was nothing she could do about it. It was this look that I recognized. It was this like stiff upper lip where she's trying to stay calm so that her kids will stay calm, but it was melting. And I saw her melt completely to tears when she realized that we were stuck there and half of our luggage had already made its way to Ghana. I think my mom has packed at least 2 pairs of underwear in her carry-on luggage since then, because my mom and my 2 younger siblings were going to be in Amsterdam with nothing but the clothes on their backs and already on their bottoms. But my older sister and I, we were ecstatic because we had our underwear, and it wasn't a problem. We were in Amsterdam, and we had already read the Diary of Anne Frank. We wanted to get out there and explore and see the sights, right? But my mother would have nothing to do with it because this was not the plan. And we didn't leave the hotel room that entire weekend for anything other than eating and underwear shopping. And I can remember when we got finally to Ghana and my mom and her mother embraced each other, and I saw a different kind of melting on my mother's face. It looked like relief. And I asked my mom later what they were talking about, and she told me that my grandmother had said that she sensed that something had gone wrong, but that she knew that everything was fine. I learned something from my mom on that trip to Africa. I think she intended to teach us about where she was raised, and she wanted us to walk on the streets that she'd walked on her way to school so that we could see how lucky we were in our comfy, suburban American life. And I learned all of those things as well, but what I really learned from my mom that trip to Africa was that in this life, almost nothing goes as planned. And hiding away in your hotel room under your covers is not going to change your circumstances. When life gives you an extended delay or an unexpected layover, you might as well get out there and see the sights. And when all else fails, hug your mother. Because as much as life can manage to fuck up your plans, a hug from your mother will always make it better. Aww.